Hello, and welcome. Here we are, episode 3, and wow, I had high expectations here, like I do every episode, and they were blown away. That's because chapter 3 of The 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You is legitimately one of my favorite chapters in the entire manga. It's the first one that isn't too heavy on the jokes. I mean, there are some, but focuses more on the emotional and romantic development of the series. Because while 100 Girlfriends is a pretty funny manga, it can also be pretty damn romantic in its own right. Plus, I'm biased because while I do agree that every girl in this series is best girl, I truly love them all. Shizuka is my personal favorite of the girlfriends, and this episode is the perfect introduction to her. So we pick up right where episode 2 ended, but slightly from Shizuka's perspective, and I'm glad they didn't show how she communicates in the previous episode because the interaction she has with Rentaro at the start is pretty goofy, but it does explain how she's able to talk. I'm not going to go into details why she doesn't talk normally. You'll have to keep watching after all. But you gotta respect the girl for reading her favorite stories so much to where she has the entire book memorized that she can go to any page she wants to show what she's trying to say. I know that might be a bit far-fetched, but I can recite multiple SpongeBob episodes purely from memory, as well as probably the entirety of the movie The Princess Bride. So I could definitely recognize the commitment. Now, as we see through the episode, Rentaro is the first person to never straight up ask her to talk normally. Yeah, she's able to talk, but she just chooses not to. And Rentaro recognizes early on and realizes that there must be a reason, so he's not going to pry into what isn't exactly his business, since it's clear it's an important and personal reason to her. But not only does he support the way that she decides to communicate, he wants to help her out. We've seen glimpses of how great of a protagonist Rentaro is in the first 2 episodes, but to me, this is the first episode that really shows his power. He stayed up 3 nights in a row transcribing the entire book by hand to this app so she can talk to others face to face. There is no limit to the lengths that Rentaro will go for his loved ones. This episode also shows how he views his situation too. As he confesses his feelings to Shizuka, he realizes he's not doing this because he only wants to save her life. He doesn't have a savior complex. He wants to help out and confess his love because he truly loves her. The title of this series is not an exaggeration, as shown here. There's something else I need to praise other than Rentaro and the pure cinnamon roll named Shizuka, and that is the adaptation of this chapter by Byberry Animation Studios. Nearly all of the scenes featuring the Circlet of Love book in this episode were anime original, and when I saw that they went ahead and made an entire dragon fight and never once made it CGI, that's when I realized how much Byberry cares about this series. That was never in the manga, and they went above and beyond bringing this chapter to life. It's amazing. I had actually reread this chapter the night before, and it was handled so well that, yeah, I cried once again. And don't lie, I'm sure we all did watching this episode. We only get a brief glimpse into Shizuka's past and how her own mother treats her. And not only was it pretty hard to watch, but then add to that she hadn't spoken or seen Rentaro in a few days and then finds out that he already had 2 girlfriends. Yeah, she didn't know that he was working on that app the entire time and wanted to surprise her, so I don't blame her for thinking the worst. But when he did reveal it, yeah, that was exceptionally well done. And when Knight Kamakuru reaches out to Princess Io, just, wow, it's just too good, guys. It's just too good. What more can I say? Now, this is still a comedic series, and there were some good jokes in here. I like how Hakari is reading a magazine titled Up Your Femininity, plus the Ashita no Joe reference was just so great. It was hard to tell in the manga if that's what they were going for, so nice touch. And then Kurane right after being called a god of war, but as a compliment, brilliant. Also, the girls being embarrassed wondering what Rentaro was doing late at night was expanded on from the manga. I mean, I don't blame them since he is a teenager after all, but their reactions got me pretty good. I mean, they're teenagers themselves, and nice to see they have an active imagination. Plus, in the episode description on Crunchyroll, they actually call Shizuka small. And finally, yeah, I cheered when Rentaro said this at the end. Pop off, my king. He's spitting facts. Now, for Shizuka herself, she's voiced by Maria Naganawa, who you might recognize as Kana from Dragon Maid, which is perfect casting. Going into this series, one of the biggest questions I had was how would they portray Shizuka's main method of communication, as a cell phone app is how she'll talk 99% of the time from here on out, so it's very crucial to her character. And I'm totally fine with what I can tell is Maria herself voicing the app. They made it sound robotic enough to not be too similar to how she sounds in her thoughts. And look, keep in mind this series will have eventually 100 main female characters. So having the same one voice both Shizuka and the app makes perfect sense to me. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the voice actresses voice multiple characters to make the production more affordable. But we're a good ways from finding that out. So yeah, this is easily my favorite episode so far. I know it's a bit jarring that Hakari and Karane were mostly in the background here, but don't worry, every girlfriend is a main character here. Everyone will get their time to shine, and for this episode, well, that's for Shizuka. And if you want to follow along, this episode fully adapted Chapter 3. I know it might seem like the anime is going at a slow pace right now, but the first 3 chapters are by far the longest in the series. From here on out, we should be getting more chapters adapted per episode. So with what we've had so far, this is already a masterful adaptation. And be sure to subscribe for my next 100 Girlfriends episode review. See you there for that one.